Hello, everyone, and welcome to my presentation, Finding Performance Issues with Neo4j Ops Manager. My name is Sascha, and I have the privilege of working with at Neo4j since 2017, and since 21, I am working on Ops Manager. What am I going to talk about today? I will give you a brief introduction into what Neo4j Ops Manager is, in case you haven't watched the wonderful presentation by my colleague Sebastian earlier today. And I want to use it to check the status of a DBMS that I have running on my system. And obviously, the title of the talk, I want to use that to identify potential performance issues running on the system. And I don't want to leave you with problems. So I also want to give you a few hints on what to do when you identify problems. So what is Ops Manager? Again, there was a really good talk earlier this day. But in case you missed that, Neo4j Ops Manager is a tool mainly aimed at administrators that should reduce operational costs and improve your productivity. In short, you can use it to monitor your Neo4j deployments, as well as basically it gives you little helpful tools to take off the dirtier things to when it comes to operating Neo4j. Like, we do the things for you, basically. We give you help when it comes to upgrade from one version to another, or you don't have to remember all those pesky little cipher commands when it comes to setting up roles and access control, all that. There's a UI for that. Little caveat, Ops Manager is currently only available for Enterprise Edition on-prem, which means there is no version for Aura right now. But some of the things you're going to see, you can also do in Aura, because there are things like metrics and logs that you have access to in Aura as well. So let's go over to Ops Manager and see what's the state of things right now on my system. So here we are. I have a very, very simple system right now. There's one DBMS monitored, and it's one instance, and it's all running on my machine, which crashed 10 minutes ago, which is super fun. So let's see how alive the thing is. Well, it's basically bored, right? The CPU usage, it's basically idling. You can see the crash, I think, in here, which is cool. And you can also see with those metrics, you can actually set some thresholds whenever you want to be alerted. You can do that like this. And the cool thing is you don't get alerted immediately if you don't want to. You can actually set a only alert me after a certain interval, a certain time has gone by where this value is over that threshold or under the threshold that you set, which is pretty cool. And there are not only host metrics, there are instance metrics, how much heap memory I'm consuming, for example, or database metrics, how many entities my database has. And this one is static, growing basically all the time, which is exactly what I expect. So all is cool. Like I said, I also can look at security, so I can create new users, roles, privileges. Don't have to remember all those things.
Sascha?
Yeah.
We can't see your screen.
That's a problem. All right. Can you see it now? I guess so. Yeah, okay, this is the metric step, sorry for that. Like I said, you can do all those things. You can set up the threshold here, like that. Everything else, you just trust me on. And this is the security tab. Also, you can view logs. So, for example, for this time frame, there are 484 queries completed, and I can look at what those were. You can see this really big one, not really big, got executed 31 times in that time frame, and I can see things like how much page hits, the memory it consumed doing that. I can actually also look at the individual runs to see maybe one of the durations is way higher than the others. So what went wrong there, where they came from, which driver or which application that query actually, who caused that query, basically. All that good stuff. So let's go back to the slides, and now I really hope I'm not. Yes. Let's go back to the slides. Everything is fine, like you saw. So of course we now need to deploy a new workload because our manager said we really need to run this thing, and we need to run that often. And the keen-eyed of you obviously will see that this query is pure nonsense, but it's important and we have to run it. So what's the worst that could happen? And let's run this thing. I'm just gonna run this thing in, wait, give me a millisecond here, and I will just change the screen share to actually show everything. Yes, this is actually what I want. So here we have browser, and I will run this query, which is entirely sensible. And if it ever completes, we definitely know that it was good and no problems were ever had, right? Because completing queries is all we really are interested in. And you see, it completed, so everything was fine, right? Just in case it wasn't, we can have like a little look at our metrics to see, no, everything fine, right? Cool thing. If I look at my heap memory, we see, oh, something went wrong. It's not wrong, like it's still completed, right? It's still cool. But like this used basically double the amount of memory that it did before. So it's not failed, but it's wrong, kind of. So I want to investigate that, and I can do that by just selecting that, zooming into, and then I'm requesting logs for that time frame. And then I can see all the queries that happened in that time frame. Oh, that was quite a big one still. But I saw that, like, I don't want to read all those queries, obviously, but I saw that in that time frame, something allocated a lot of memory. So I'm just ordering by that. And then I will see this is the highest one. And the next biggest one is way smaller. So the first one seems to be the problem, and that's my new workload. Well, damn. That means I identified a query I really need to do something about. Well, luckily, that's the second part, but the part that I want to really hammer down is how to identify the problems. And that is, like I showed you, you check the alerts, you check the metrics, you zoom into the time frame, getting the logs from the time frame, and then you go through the logs and try to find unusual entries, which means unexpected queries. Something you think shouldn't happen, right? That's something you need to look into. Queries from unknown origins. So something might be very wrong here. Maybe your system is compromised and someone is feeding the system queries that really shouldn't be running. You need to look into that. Queries that take lots of resources, like the one I just executed. That's something to look into. Things that get executed a lot, or queries that take a long time. Like sometimes it's fine for analytical queries to do, but if it's longer than you expect, you definitely need to do something about it. And now, what to do if you actually find a query that needs to be better? There are ways to improve that, like multiple levels. On the DBMS level, you can throw more resources at it. More CPU, more memory, more disk can all help you. Potentially, you can also add more cluster members if read throughput is your problem, right? On the application level, you control how you access the database, so you can get rid of unexpected, obsolete queries that shouldn't be running anyway, of course. You can introduce a cache, so queries that don't need to run as often results could be cached, and then you can get rid of a certain number of runs. You can batch updates together into one query, or run your queries in parallel or in sequence, depending on what kind of query you're having trouble with. Maybe you can even move your query to less busy times for the database. It all depends on the context, obviously. And on the actual query level, you can split it into smaller parts, for example. You could also think about using procedures. There's epoch, and there's also procedures that you can write your own. If you think you can produce Java code that is more efficient in solving your problem, write your own procedure. You can profile and explain your query to get a query plan, and then based on that plan, just get rid of certain operators in that plan that make your query slow, like aggregations, eagers. There are ways, and there's loads of Neo4j documentation to help you with that. Query parameters are great things to use. If your query is generated because you're using, for example, Spring Data Neo4j, you can try to influence that query generation, for example, by using closed projections, or just run custom cipher instead of the generated query. And in some cases, for example, bulk loads or bulk deletions, you can lessen the restrictions on transactional boundaries sometimes by using structures like call in transactions. All of that you can do, and probably more that I forgot, but there are loads of resources on our website that can help you, and loads of smart people in our community as well. And with that, I am done for right now.